is that in the early days of Google, I guess, she went around and asked people, how many search results do you want to have on the page? And they said, 100, lots of results. We don't want to have 10. And then, so that's one piece of data, right? You go and you do a study and you interview people. Then she did something that we call A/B tests. So one thing that we do a lot of in search is we put a small % of traffic into what we call an experiment, and we give a set of people this new feature, and then we compare it to another set of people who don't have the feature. And so she put a bunch of people into this experiment and gave them 100 results. And what she saw was that basically the people who got more results just seemed less happy. They were searching less. They were doing fewer things with the search engine. So even though people had said they wanted more results, in actuality, their ability to express their desires wasn't quite right. And so the data told us, no, actually 10 seems to be the right number. When we show people 10, they seem much happier. So I think it's kind of a fun example of how you can make a decision based on data. This is another fun one that actually has been prevalent in my life. So don't kill projects, morph them. And the idea here is, oh no, restart later. Please, restart later. Okay, don't kill projects, morph them. The idea here is if you have a project that has gone on long enough, gotten enough enthusiasm, gotten people behind it, and somehow it seems like it's wrong, well, how can you take what's good in that project and figure out how to keep that, but get rid of the stuff that you don't need? So one example in my life is this thing called SearchWiki. How many of you have heard of SearchWiki? Okay, like 3 of you. And that's because, 4 of you, is because it's not a particularly good idea. So we have this idea in search that, that our users may want to be able to edit their search results. So on a topic that they know, they may want to reorder the list. Google gave us these 10 in this order, but users may want to change that order and reorder them. So we added these kind of buttons so you could shoot your results to the top, you could delete results. And what we found, it wasn't super popular or really that understandable to people. But people were using this feature for something else. They were using our up arrow buttons to bookmark their results, because keeping track of a single result is something that people want to do, and bookmarking is a very common notion. So actually fairly recently we went ahead and we changed this SearchWiki feature into bookmarking and starring, and that seems to be working much better with users, and is a notion that they understand better. And we probably wouldn't have gotten there if we hadn't gone through the set of bad ideas first. Users, users, users. So this is the idea. Get people to use and love your product before you think about money. Now, in a lot of businesses, that isn't totally possible. But really focusing on building something great that people want to use is very, very important in terms of making money. The belief that we have at Google is that if people want to use it, we're going to figure out a way to sell it and make money from it. And I can tell you that this is just, this was a little weird for me when I got to Google. I mean, it sounds obvious, but I had just come from business school. You're all in business school. And I got to Google, and I was working on search, and I was like, hey, here's a way we can make money. And like everyone around me was like, no. We work on search here. We don't think about making money. We have an ads team. They think about making money. Your job is to think about making people love the service. And if you have ideas about making money, we don't care. Don't tell us about them. And that was really interesting, but I think it's really true, and it adds a real focus, like to get a bunch of people that are really focused on what it is that people using your service want is going to make a better service, and it's going to create loyalty over time. Okay, so innovation is not instant perfection. And another interesting quote that I've heard in this area is, if you have completed everything that you wanted to do before you launched, you've probably launched too late. And we think that's really true, and there's a real art to knowing when you should give something to the public versus keeping it until it's ready. But it is absolutely true that without the feedback of the people who use your product, it's not going to be great, because certainly in the internet, you have a lot of people who are using services. Services can change, and you really need that feedback, and it's hard to get that without launching and getting the world using your products. And so like some things that I've worked on at Google that fall into this category. One is something called Universal Search, which is a product by which we add all of the different kinds of content into the search results. So we've added things like news, images, videos, books. And basically when you come to Google and search, you could just go ahead, and if you search for pictures of puppies, we would show you pictures of puppies, as opposed to you having to know that we have an image search product and go there. When we launched this, it showed up on a very small number of queries, but now I'm guessing all of you have seen this. You see images on your search results page. And over time, this has gotten to be much better and much more useful to people. And this is kind of the notion, is that just go ahead, and once it's a little bit useful, get it out there, get feedback, and make it better. You're brilliant, we're hiring. That's absolutely true. We are hiring, we're looking for smart people to come to Google. And I think even if you don't come to Google, one really important way for me to see this lesson is, and this is really true even before I worked at Google in my previous career, is just to think about who it is that you're going to work with is almost as important as the name of the company and where you're going to work. So working with people that you trust, people that you can count on, people that are smart is extremely important. So that matters a lot more than just things like money or other things. So when you're thinking about a job, I think really checking out who are going to be your colleagues and who are you going to be with day to day, and can you count on them, is really important. And the final innovation principle here is the license to pursue dreams. Have people here heard of Google's 20% time? So the 20% time is something that we have within Google Engineering, which says 1 day a week an engineer can work on whatever project they want to. And the idea is that if people are working on what they want to, they're going to be motivated and they're going to have great ideas. And we've actually seen a number of projects at Google have come out of 20% time. So I think Google News was a 20% project. We have this thing called Flu Trends, whereby you can see where people are getting sick in the world, which is a 20% project. Google Suggest, which I'll give you a demo of in a second, was a 20% project. So really kind of letting people engage in what they're interested in is what this is about, and I think it's pretty interesting. So now I'm going to just jump in and show you a couple of examples of these innovation principles at work, because I think they kind of highlight how you can take these principles and then develop products. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Google Suggest. And this is the feature whereby we suggest searches for you based on what you start typing. So how many of you are currently reading The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Only one of you?
I read it.
You read it. How many of you have read it? Wow. I have to say, when I walk around Google, I'm just going to type this in. So, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So if I wanted to search for this, I guess I've given away that it's a book. But if I want to search for it, I go ahead, I type in The Girl with Dragon Tattoo. It's also now a movie.